Thank you very much, Mr. President, and I compliment my senior senator from Oregon, who has come to this floor and laid out very clearly what is felt in the heart of Oregonians across our state, that this bill, which tells Oregonians that they have to be the collection agents for folks from 45 other states and hundreds of local jurisdictions, is not just an expensive mandate, it's an offensive intrusion into the rights of the citizens of our state. And in that regard, I wanted to just engage in a few questions and thoughts with my colleague from Oregon, and to try to highlight some of the concerns and issues that we have. And Senator, I'll say the senator from Oregon, senior senator from Oregon, as you read this bill, do you see in it any compensation for the time and effort that the businesses in Oregon will have to spend collecting the tax for hundreds of jurisdictions across this country?
I really don't. Now, I know that the sponsors of the legislation keep talking about how this is not going to be a burden, for example, to the businesses that my colleague advocates for, that there's going to be software and computers and technology. And I would only say to my colleague that I think his question is pivotal to this. And there's a little bit of interesting history that my friend from Wyoming, I think, really knows more about than anyone else. Is for years now, there has been an effort at the state level to try to remove some of the hassles and the costs that my colleague has talked about. I think the official name my colleague probably knows is a state streamlined, sales tax, project, something along those lines. And if it were so simple, if this was something that didn't have the kind of costs for small business that my colleague is so concerned about, I think we would have seen it already put in effect by the proponents of the bill. The reason we're here on the floor talking about it and talking about Oregon businesses being forced to do this against their will is that it is not without cost, it is not without hassle, that the technology and all of the marvels of software and computers that we've heard about for the proponents is not there, and because they haven't been able to do it through that kind of approach, which is essentially voluntary, now they're here on the floor to force states like Oregon to do it.
Well, you make a great point that if states have not voluntarily entered into compacts where they get to collect their own sales tax through other states and they collect it for other states, a mutually beneficial relationship, then it's very, very strange to have to be compelled. Even those 45 states that have sales tax obviously weren't so excited about forming such a structure. But they also seem to be determined to pull into this involuntary structure states that find the sales tax abhorrent. And if you find a tax abhorrent, and just a little bit of background here, I believe our state has now voted 9 times on a sales tax. Largely the vote has been on heavy majorities defeating it. Many of those votes 70-30, and some of the reasons are that it's an extremely regressive tax. Another reason is that it's the most expensive tax to collect and therefore much less efficient and much more government waste. Now we have all these senators who are champions of government waste forcing not only an extension of their own state's wasteful sales tax system, but imposing it upon the small businesses of Oregon. And then we come to a whole series of concerns that any small business is going to have. A small business is told they must participate, and we're talking about anything basically beyond a single person shop is pulled into this bill. But then they're subject to, I think it is over 800 tax jurisdictions calling them up and saying, well, we're not sure you gave us the right amount. Is it anything in this bill that says those hundreds of tax jurisdictions out there can't call up and basically challenge whether or not they've gotten the right amount of money?